everyone, it's Christine from Christine's Stamping Spot, back with you for our Mystery Monday video today. Today, I believe, is Monday, April the 14th. My goodness, we're halfway through the month already, and next weekend is Easter long weekend, so hopefully everybody will be able to enjoy some nice quality time with your families next weekend. So today I wanted to take a look at a bundle that is actually on our last chance list. It was in the current catalog. We do have a new one coming out in a few weeks, but this is the suite, the Wildly Flowering Suite, which is on page 41 of the catalog. And it has a whole bunch of different pieces to it. But the stamp set and the dies are on the last chance list. So meaning once it is sold out, it's gone. Okay. Now we're also going to use this designer paper, which I believe, don't quote me, but might be carrying over to the new catalog. And I'm not sure about the embossing folder or the embellishments, but you can always look on my website and look up the last chance list and the products that are disappearing or maybe not on that list that you're happy about. But I did want to take a look at this bundle. So this is also the designer paper. Oops, something stuck to me there. Which is also lovely. These are in colors that, are these the ones that are retiring? Hang on, let me just double check. Yes, these are some of the colors that are retiring. So I'm guessing the, Now that leaves me with a question. I'm going to have to double check, because if the colors in this paper are retiring, you'd think the paper would be retiring. So from 23 to 25, the in colors were Copper Clay, Wild Wheat, Boho Blue, Moody Mauve, and Pebbled Path. So I'm going to guess this paper might also be retiring now. Just because of the colors. Typically, but not always, but typically when a paper or ribbon or embellishments have in colors in them that are retiring, they typically will retire with those in colors. However, I know if a paper is popular, they will keep it in the new catalog. So if anybody knows about that, please put a note in the comments. Otherwise, I will try to look that up and leave a note for you as well, because that's got me a little puzzled now. However, I digress. So these are the colors and the papers in the Wildflower Designs designer paper. So you've got a lot of the Moody Mauve, you've got some Misty Moonlight, which is a current color. You have some Crumb Cake, Basic White, Wild Wheat is in here, which is a retiring color, and there's some early espresso as well. So you have these beautiful florals, and then on the back, you've got some subtle sort of designs. These two actually have a little bit of a floral on the back, but these ones are quite subtle and great for backgrounds. Okay, so we're going to incorporate that as well. And again, this is the bundle. So here are the stamps in there, and these are the dies, which are lovely. These sort of labeled kind of dies or frame kind of dies. They're really, really lovely. All right, so having said all that, I'm going to show you a new technique, or a new technique to me that I have not done, and that is a drapery fold card. And I don't know if any of you have done it, but if you have, also please leave me a comment. I'd love to hear what you guys have been doing or not doing, and if I'm kind of behind the times or not. But it is something that was on my radar, and I kept forgetting about it. But I thought, you know what, this paper might be a nice way to showcase this technique. And this is the card we're going to make. So it did take me a while to get this technique down, just with the measurements, and there are different ways you can do it and different you know, lengths of paper and all that sort of thing, but I'm going to show you what I did on this particular card. So we are going to start with a piece of the Misty Moonlight, which is a current standing color in our neutral palette, I believe. So this is going to be our base. And then we're going to put a piece of the Moody Mauve on top. Okay, so this is a retiring color. So we're just going to add this onto our base, and then we're going to set this aside, and I'm going to show you how we are going to do these pleats, I guess. Some people call this a drapery fold, some call it a curtain fold. If you look on Pinterest, there's probably various ways you can search for this particular technique or different ways of doing this technique, okay? All right, so for the pleats, I'm going to use this pattern this time in the designer paper. And this is cut at 8 3/4 by 5. Now I did 5 because I wanted it to go the whole length down the side. Now, if you wanted a shorter pleat card, or if you only wanted it on half, you could shorten this measurement. So instead of 5 inches, you might want to go, let's say 4 or 3.5 as far as the height goes. Your width would still be the same, but it's just if you wanted to adjust the height, like where you wanted, you know, this fold to be. If you just wanted half or 3/4, you would just sort of adjust the height of your paper. Okay, so now we are going to do these pleats. So we're going to bring out our paper trimmer, and I hope you can see this. So I chose a designer paper that has a really neutral background, because I think you can see on my sample here, this particular pattern had this Misty Moonlight sort of solid background, and I really like the look of the solid sort of peeking through on the underside. I prefer that over another floral because you might not really be able to tell where the drapery folds, what's on the back. I don't know. I just prefer the solid. Now you can use designer paper. You could also use just regular cardstock for this particular technique if you didn't want to use designer paper, or you could use a combination of solid and then just sort of fill in the pleats with some designer paper. It's totally up to you. Okay, so we are going to start here, and let's see, there's quite a bit. Now, again, this is a little subjective because this card has quite a few pleats on it, as you can see, quite a few folds. If you did not want so many, you would probably just take out a couple or just reconfigure your measurements. Like if you only wanted, let's say, 3 folds or 4 folds. But I'm going to do this one that I saw with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, 6 sort of panels. So we'll try that and see how it goes. Okay, so the first score line, okay, and this is the 8 3/4 side. Let me just double check. Yes, 8 3/4. So our first score line is going to be at 1 3/4. So make sure your cutting blade is down so you don't accidentally cut your paper, because I'm sure we have all done that. Okay, so 1 3/4, and then we're going to do 2 1/4. And I will post these measurements, so you can write them down if you want, but I will post them later with the post. And then we're going to go to 3 1/4, and then 3 3/4, and then 4 3/4. And let me move this over. Then we're going to go to 5 1/4. And then 6 1/4, which is a little tricky on this paper trimmer here. Okay, so 6 1/4, and then 6 3/4, and 7 3/4. Get that lined up. And then lastly, 8 1/4. Okay. All right, so that should be all of the scoring. Okay, so I know you can't really see it on this side, but you can kind of see it on the back. Okay, all of our score lines. So basically, this would be your 1 3/4, and then you have a 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and then the 1/2 inch, and then the remainder. Okay, so now what we're going to do to get that drapery kind of look where it kind of goes at the angle, I'm going to measure down from the top corner. I'm going to measure down about, and this is subjective, if you want it a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, I'm going to measure it down at about, let me just close this. Okay, I'm going to measure down about 1 1/4 inches. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little pencil mark here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut in my paper trimmer. I'm going to line up my pencil mark and the very first score line. So if you can't see that, I'll just fold it up so you can see it. Okay, so this is where our first score line is. Okay, so I'm going to line up my paper trimmer. In my paper trimmer, the little tick mark that I made with my pencil. Okay, and that first score line. And this is going to cut our angle for our drape. All right, so you're just going to go ahead and give it a slice. Okay, and here we go. There is our angle for our drape. Okay, so now we're going to do our folding. So we're going to start on this end. Okay, and just give it a good burnish. I'm going to just flip this over so I can see my score lines. I actually have to get a new scoring blade because mine is not really working that great anymore. So the important thing here for me was to make sure that when I fold my paper, everything is going to line up on this right edge. Okay. All right, so we've got that one. And it's just mountain valley fold. Okay, so we're going to fold this one in this direction. Make sure our edges are lined up there. Okay, and then we have another score line here. So we'll fold that back, burnish it. And then our next one, let me see, where's our next one? Oh my gosh. It is right here, this one here. See, I told you it's just really faint, my scoring. That's right, I can see it almost better on this side. Okay, I think it's like that, so I'll make sure that's... When it's a darker pattern paper, it's a little bit harder to see, so I'm kind of just confirming my folds on the back where it's a little bit easier to see my score lines. Okay, so this one will go forward. So you can slowly see that we are creating that drape here, right? Okay, so let's go back. And then we'll go forward. And then the last one will go back. Okay, so I'm just going to go over these on the back. I want them nice and crisp, repeats. And there is our drape. So it's almost like an accordion fold, right? It's just, okay, so let's see if I did this right. So this is going to go on top of our Moody Mauve, and yes, I must have cut it right because I have that little bit of a border on each side. Okay, so now what I want to do, because I don't want these folds to be flopping up, I'm actually going to adhere these folds together. So on this inside, I'm just going to put some adhesive here. And then I'm going to fold the first one over and stick it down. Okay, and then I'm going to do that on all of them. So I'll go to the second one here. If you wanted to use tear and tape or liquid glue here, you could do that as well. Anything that will keep the fold closed. Okay, and then I'll put another one here. And then our last one will be here. Okay, so that is, those kind of hold those together, but I'm going to do a little bit of enforcing on the back, and I'm going to use some tear and tape. So I'm just going to put a strip across here. I'm going to press all those down, and okay, and then I'm going to put another one at an angle. This is just my own self here going, just being a little extra careful. I'm sure the initial ones would hold fine, but I just want to make sure. I should actually put some on this fold. I forgot. This one, just to make sure this little one stays closed. Okay, and then I'll just put some here on this edge too, and then we should be good to go. Okay, so we have our tear and tape, and that's kind of squished everything down. If you wanted to put another piece across the middle, you could, but I think that's looking not too bad. Okay, so let's take off that tear and tape. And oops. Okay. Now we will put this on top of our card base. Just make sure your card is going the right way. Now if you, well, you could do it like this. It wouldn't really be a drape. It's kind of upside down, but you could decide, you know, how you wanted your drapes to go, left or right. I'm just going to sort of center this here. Okay, like so. All right, so that looks pretty neat. Those nice crisp folds there, and you've got that little peek of the crumb cake from the reverse side of the paper showing through, which is great. Okay, then I'm just going to put a little strip of the Misty Moonlight just to cover the top of those pleats. You could leave it plain and visible if you wanted, but I'm just going to add a little bit here on the top. And I'm just going to line it up with that very top edge of the designer paper and just across. Oops, got that. Let me do this upside down. It's just easier for me. Here we go. We will just cover up that top like so. Okay, so now we are going to add just an image and a bit of stamping here. So I pulled out this image from the stamp set. You can use some blends to color it in if you wanted, but I'm just going to leave it. And there are also some other images you could, you know, put in, or put a couple of them in if you wanted. I'm just going to use this one, and I used one of the dies here from the dies and cut that out from Whisper White, or sorry, Basic White. Oh my gosh, Whisper White goes back a long way. Okay, so we'll do that, and then I'm going to put a little thank you, which is also from the stamp set, this particular stamp. And I'm just going to put that at the bottom. I'm just going to go tone on tone, so Moody Mauve on top of Moody Mauve cardstock, like so, because you can see it. It's dark enough there, right? And then we will pop up this little image with some dimensionals, of course. I'm using up the last bits on my sheet here. Also, always love to use up every piece, so it's not wasted. Okay, and then one more. We'll just do a little bit of overkill here with the dimensions. Oh my gosh. Okay. So let us get this placed, and then we're going to add a few embellishments, and then we will be done. So you can use your pleats as a guide to get that point lined up. And then lastly, I had some of these iridescent faceted gems. I use these probably every week on my videos because I just love these, how they just pick up the colors. They're so pretty, and I believe these might be in the new catalog too, so we shall see. I hope so. All right, so there you go. 2 drapery fold cards using 2 different patterns of that designer paper. So a really neat technique with a wow factor, and you could, definitely switch up those measurements to get them different heights. If you wanted to do them as a horizontal, you could probably do that. You might just have to adjust the width of your paper, but lots of different ways that you can use this technique in your paper crafting. So I hope you enjoyed that project, and hope you all have a wonderful Easter. And don't forget, tomorrow, April 15th, our new Stampin' Up! Website is going to launch, and our new Stampin' Rewards program. So for every order now that you place after $25, you start to earn 10% on all of your purchases, and they can be banked and used on future orders. So a really great way to save up for something special or to use towards your next order. Just make sure that you have an account set up on my website. You can go to christineludwig.stampinup.net and start the Shop Now button, and it will prompt you through all of those necessary tabs that you need to set up an account. So I'm looking forward to that, and our new catalog coming in a couple of weeks. So lots happening in the stamping world. So I hope you all have a wonderful week, and we will see you next time. Bye for now.